Hey guys. So, I've been gone for a while. About one whole entire month. About to be 2 months after this day. Probably. So, even though this is my another long form video, I have literally posted. Hang on. 3 to 5 videos already before this. For between my previous long form video and this one, I think I posted like 3 to 5 videos, like 3 shorts and maybe 3 or 4 shorts and one video, like 8 second video and 3 or 4 shorts. Sorry, I couldn't quite keep track. Hang on. Okay, got it. So yeah, I'm back, and if you already seen, and if you've seen the teasers or teaser shorts I posted, you would probably know what the video is going to be about, and also you probably read the description. I'm sorry, title, sorry. Title and description both. I don't even know. Oh, she comments. Anyways, so yeah, this is the long-awaited, probably not that much, second and final part to my SOS documentary. And if you see my recent short that I literally posted this morning, you'll probably know how long this is. I'll repeat it again. 2 weeks, 3 days, and eight whole pages, and a lot of motivation. Yeah, it took me that much to finally write this. In in part one of this documentary, we talked about how how the search team found an SOS sign and 2 missing hikers. Then they congratulated him and those two on building the SOS sign, but they said they didn't make it. So the search team and the Hokkaido Police Department went there to check. Went there to check and found some human remains near the SOS sign, and and after a DNA test, it is finalized that this remains belong to a woman who was 5 feet 3 inches tall, type O blood, and age was between 20 to 40, and has several bone fractures and died 1 to 3 years prior to that thing being found. I am not going to be recapping the whole entire thing, but the last time we left off is that they found some cassette tapes near. They found some other they found some cassette tapes as well. And they started listening to them. Wait, am I even reading the right parts? And they began listening. When they started listening to them, they found the cassette tape features various songs of anime shows, but the last one is where one of the biggest pieces come into play. It reveals it has a voice of a man pleading out for help. SOS. I'm not going to repeat the whole entire thing. Please go watch the previous video. I don't have the mental capacity for this. And I did say the remains were of a female, but the voice was of a male. So and the cassette tape implied that that man was all alone. All alone, not knowing that there was another woman near him. Almost like that woman didn't exist. that was a long and confusing recap for me. Whatever. So, anyways, continue. Fascinated by this mystery. I mean, I was too when I first found out about this. A Japanese reporter named Koyo Ratani. I'm sorry sorry if I mispronounced that. Comes to this twistingly mysterious sign to see if he found something that the investigators missed. And he did. Just 165 meters away from the sign. I think it's gonna be longer than this. You can't even see my hands. He found something under foliage and in the big hole. He found various belongings. There were two cameras, a notebook, and most importantly, a license. The license belonged to a man named Kenji Iwamura. Remember that because that's going to be very important. This finding, even though it was kind of small, it would literally help accelerate this case to conclusion quickly. Even if it wouldn't, they probably got a name for this possible owner of the remains that the investigators found. Kenji Iwamura. Now let's rewind her clock a bit. It's the midsummer, years before the SOS sign was even found or even made. And 24-year-old Kenji Iwamura arrives at Mount Asakidake for a short hiking trip. I mean, who doesn't love hiking? I probably do if I ever did that. He arrives at a small lodge at the base of the mountain. And when I say small, I don't not mean the small, okay? It's like a size of a 2-story house. I don't know the exact height. I'm just like comparing. He plans to stay there only for a couple nights. And he informs the manager that he'll be hiking to the mountain summit and coming back here. He ignored the warnings of a possible incoming storm. So he embarks on the adventure. If I was in Japan, I would climb up that mountain as well. Okay? If I was up there, I would climb that mountain as well. No kidding, I would actually do that. Hours pass, but he doesn't return. I basically have the script. I literally have the notebook that I wrote the script on right in front of me, and I'm just reading that and adding some other things I wrote. Even after the storm passes, hours pass and the storm passes as well. But Kenji still does not return. Days still pass into weeks, but still nothing. Now, here's another confusing thing. After Kenji didn't return, why did the manager just call the police? Seriously. I'm pretty sure if I found out that one of my friends or family have been missing for like a few days or hours, the first thing I would do was literally call the literal police, bro. I would do that, right? And I'm pretty sure you do. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course, everyone does that. You're supposed to call the police when someone is missing. But why did the manager do it? If he just called the police, they would have found Kenji. That's a question that I am not gonna be answering, and I don't know the answer to, and we will probably never know. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have more crash. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have more crash outs now. Anyways, that's the end for that time travel. Let's just continue with the mystery. With the possible identity of the remains found, the investigators decided to try to match the remains with the DNA of Kenji. But here's the thing. Matching DNA with possible old human remains or animal remains. Sorry for that weird comparison. It's not never equal. Okay, you got if a human remain is years old and you just need to, and if a human remain was found 2 years after the person's death, and all that remains is the skeleton, there is no way to finally find to equally find the equal match to it. It's not always 100% accurate. Okay, but despite this, the investigators still needed to end this case for good. Pretty sure I'm pretty sure I need to end my mental sanity, and I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure my mental sanity is gonna end at the end of this as well. Whatever. They decided to find Kenji's parents, and they did. They found their address and met with them. They told them that they told them what they were doing and why they were there. Kenji's parents allowed them to see their son's room, and they later said that their son was a was an anime fan and loved various songs and music, and that would probably explain why the anime songs were there in the cassette tapes. So the investigators thought that with this huge lead, they would finally able to put the nail in the coffin and end this mystery for good. So they put on the cassette. So they sat down. So they put the cassette tapes into the tape player and let Kenji's parents listen to them, hoping that they would recognize the voice of their son. But they didn't. They didn't recognize that voice at all. It, it was not of their son. They they didn't know who that was. This was supposed to be a final nail in the coffin, but it turned out to be a huge boulder just rolling them back down to square one. The remains the remains identity uh, the remains identity and the voice of the tapes was not matching at all. And was not matching, and it was confusing. I mean, it was confusing to me as well when I was writing this and found out about that. With no evidence at all, they still continue with the theory that the SOS sign was made by Kenji Uemura, casting aside the identity of the remains and the voice of the tapes. Just removing those two sides from removing those two things from removing those two things of her from the case at completely. Sorry for my ears, like there. They they decide to cast away the identity of the remains and the voice of the tapes, and they just decide to go on with the case without those two main components. But it didn't take them long to end the case for good. Because the Hokkaido Police Department fully ended the case just 11 days later. They closed it. It had been called off. Now you might think that this is where it ends, but you know that I am not the one who just gives up like that. And I think this thing is about to give another mental attack for me. Here's another huge change into this case. In 1998, just a few years after the case had been shut down, closed, the bones were re-examined for the second time. And what they found out... Sorry about that. And here's another thing. In 1998, a few years after the case was closed off, the bones were re-examined for the second time. I'm still inside. Well, this is a weird thing. Just ignore what's happening out there. Just ignore what's happening out there, okay? Anyways, the bones were examined for a second time. For goodness sake. For goodness sake. The bones were examined for a second time to record my mental sanity. And it stated that the remains were never belonged to a woman with type of blood, but to a man with type A. Even though this was the last update of the mystery, trust me, I've checked for more. Still left me and other investigators with more questions than answers. Why were the bones re-examined? Who was the stranger on the tapes? And how exactly did Kenji Uemura even find his way down there if it was even him? Now, even though I don't know the answers to the first two questions, I do know the answer for the third. How did Kenji Uemura, even if it was him, find his way, find himself in that rough area? Apparently and realistically, there's like this confusing landmark in the hiking trail of Mount Isaki-Dake. It's just a boulder or a rock that people call Safe Rock. And when you see this rock, you're supposed to turn right to continue on the trail. And you might think that, oh look, that landmark is supposed to be easy. Just go up, right? Turn right, go up. Oh boy, you are so dead wrong. Because just a few meters ahead, there's like another boulder, a nearly identical boulder. People call fake Safe Rock, and goodness me, those guys are gonna kill my brains. And dear God, those guys are gonna kill my brains. It's called Face Safe Rock, and if you turn right after seeing this, you're not continuing on the trail. You're going down a rough, ridge side of the mountain, and an uncharted territory. Okay, who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? It's sort of charted now that the SOS sign is there, but it's mainly on uncharted, and people rarely go that way. So it's kind of confusing. Hikers who have climbed up this mountain do not make it to. Hikers who climb up this mountain and use fake safe rocks at the landmark, they don't reach the top. They reach a rigid side. I don't know what happened to them because I never checked. But if you see safe rock, don't fake. But if you find yourself with the fake safe rock, don't turn right. Now the Japanese government have noticed about these Now the Japanese government have found out about this, and they put like a rope type of bar in front of fake safe rock to distinguish it from the real one. But this is not. But the rope bar thing is not helping at all. In fact, it's just making hikers more confused as well, making them think that the rope bar rock is the actual safe rock, and the actual one is the fake. And I'm pretty sure that Kenji Uemura, even if it was him, took the fake safe rock as the real safe rock and took a right and went down the rigid side of the mountain. Now that I've said that, let's just go with the idea that Kenji Uemura was the one who made that SOS sign all by himself. No one else helping him. So let's just go with this theory and prepare yourself because I'm about to have another mental crash out into this. So Kenji started his trek up the mountain. He encountered the fake safe rock and took a right. He went down the rigid side of the mountain and passed a bamboo forest. The bamboo is known as sasa by the locals. And he passes the tree forest and comes upon a clearing, and the storm starts falling on top of him. And even when it passes, he doesn't see any other sign of people, or life, or anything else. Days passing into weeks into months, and still nothing. Finally, he decides to make an SOS sign with the wood of the forest surrounding him, and make an SOS voice message in one of the tapes he had. After he made the tape and the voice recording, he waited, with nothing but the SOS sign as his only hope and companion. Even though I didn't have a mental crash out there, I had an inner one. Now, on the surface, it just seems straightforward, right? But it's the exact opposite. It just the the what one once you look below the surface of this theory, it starts to crack and the picture just falls down through a million pieces. So let's just take this step by step. He took the right turn after encountering the safe rock. After he did that. So this theory is saying that Kenji made a huge SOS sign after falling several feet down a ridgy side of the mountain and crossed a river, and all this after doing a several mile trek up up a mountain, and having several injuries from the fall. By the way, there are boulder. By the way, it's called a ridgy side because you can kind of fall down. And he cut down several massive trees, heavy ones as well, with a weapon or axe that was never found. And he wouldn't even need an axe in a mountain hike anyway. Who even brings an axe to a mountain hike? I would never. And he did all of that, still having those previously mentioned injuries. And if we say that the remains belong to him, it clearly proves the injury part. Together, it clearly states that and proves that Kenji Uemura couldn't have been the only one to die there. Now suppose this is a theory I made. Kenji was hiking up the mountain trail, and he met another person on the way. They decided to form a group to get to the top. And they both pass a ridgy side of the mountain, thinking that this is the actual way to the top. Neither of them knew that they had actually went down took a right turn off Faith's sake rock. Jesus Christ, that little rock is gonna die one day. They came upon a clearing, crossing the river from some unknown person. The other person, for some unknown reason, the other person had brought an axe with them and decided to build an SOS sign out of the wood of the forest. But since Kenji had several injuries with him, he rarely gave help to him, and for obvious reasons. The other person had to do the work mostly by himself. Days passed into weeks, and from seeing no signs of the other help, the other person decided to go look for help, leaving Kenji alone and just succumb to his injuries and pass on. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm mixing things up from the script here and there, but that's all I have to say for my theory. And I know this theory might be confusing, but for the love of God and the seventh world is the only way this mystery is making any sense to me. And is the only way the shattered pieces are going back into the puzzle. And the only way that the shattered pieces of the puzzle and the picture goes back into place. Kenji Uemura, even if it was him, couldn't have made those injuries all by made all that huge SOS sign all by himself. There had to have been someone helping him. Maybe that person's remain is still somewhere near that SOS sign, but we just haven't found it yet. But it's highly doubtful now. Decades have passed since this mystery started and ended. Questions still remain, and I do too. And I have several of them. But before I have another mental crash out, that's where I ended. And this is where the script ends too. This video is literally 25 minutes long, and it feels like a huge filler video to me. I just started rambling here and there, probably giving some information, but mostly rambling. Now, that's the end for this type of documentary. The SOS mystery. I started writing the script all the way. I started writing the script all the way back in October of 2025. It was supposed to be a Halloween special, but script writing and timing didn't work out so well. So October quickly passed, and this thing couldn't be uploaded there. So I decided to upload later on, hoping it'd do well, even though it was supposed to be a Halloween special. And I think most of you liked it, I guess. Not that much, but I hope you liked it. Just flipping through the pages and seeing and letting you see the ramblings I wrote. Yeah. Here's a few more. This was one of the longest scripts I wrote, by the way, and it was one of the most confusing. It was the longest and most confusing and twisting mysteries I've ever documented. It nearly gave me a mental heart attack when I first wrote it. Seriously, I'm not even joking. The first time, when I was not kidding. The first time I found out about this mystery, I was literally confused when I first heard about it. Not even a single thing was adding up. This mystery was confusing, and I was literally roped in like a fish to a hook. And so I decided to make this, and it took out 5 months to fully finish this whole entire script. And it took me 2 weeks, and it took me 2 or 3 weeks between the first part and the second part to finally end this for good. Thank you all for waiting for this long. This script was so hard to write. What? Jeez. That. Yeah, that's why I closed the thing off. Jesus Christ! This script was a literal test for my mental boundaries. It nearly gave me a mental heart attack and mental crash out when I was writing the script. Seriously, I felt like I was just gonna throw the script right through a window or a door or to a literal wall. Before I lose my breath, thank God I was able to keep my mental sanity in check. If any of you found this thing boring with all my rambling and just mix-max information, I'm very sorry. But this video is already nearly 30 minutes long, and I'm not going to be able to re-record, whatever it is, this whole entire thing again. I am not wasting another 30 minutes of my life rereading this whole entire script. But on the brighter side, now that this documentary is over, I can finally move on to other scripts as well. I have various other documentaries planned. The only reason I couldn't start making those is because I didn't know how many pages this script would take. Seriously, it took me... Seriously. If I had miscounted how many pages this thing would take, I would have literally had to tear the page out of the new documentary script and start all over again. And let's just say that something I don't want to do. I do not want to waste pages. Thank you all for joining for this. Thank you all for joining me with this on this mental roller coaster that was supposed to be a Halloween special. Now that this documentary is over, I think I have to. Now that I finished this documentary on this twisting mystery, there's still one more documentary that I still have left unfinished for a few months now. Did someone hear an airplane?